people are going to realize that that the Trump administration only cares about the bottom line. They only care about billionaires, and they're going to realize that. And there's going to be class consciousness, and everyone's going to come together through mutual aid networks and vote all of the Republicans out. And they're going to vote in progressive candidates who actually want to represent the needs of the people.
Welcome to the Practivist Pod, the practice of activism made practical. We are now 30 days into the Trump shutdown, but while Republicans are enjoying their paid vacation at the expense of our health care and food assistance, it is GOTV time all over our country. We're just days away from Election Day, so we're going to talk about how you can get involved and make an impact. Jess is traveling today, so joining to help us out this week is the host of Punching Up on Lincoln Square Media and the co-host of The Breakdown with Lincoln Project co-founder Rick Wilson, comedian and writer Maya May.
Oh no, stay strong, it won't be long, yeah, we will build a better world.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me. Don't forget, also co-host of Protect and Serve, newest show with Michael Fanone.
Michael Fanone. Yeah.
Yes. So shameless plug. Okay.
Sorry about that. Well, before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. Just a reminder to our listeners, we are on Substack, and you get the ad-free version on there and get to support our show. We really appreciate that. We also have a call-in number. That number is 818-824-4286. Maya, literally no one calls us on there unless I do something wrong. So I would love some more of your signs from No Kings rallies and some, talk about what you're doing in your community. But I do have to make a mea culpa, because, last week's show, I was talking about the incredibly inspiring floor speech by, Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley. But I misspoke and said it was Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey who was making that speech. So I did get a lot of messages and calls from surprisingly angry Oregonians. Like, who knew? No, I'm kidding. They weren't that angry, but I'm just glad that you spoke about it, because it didn't really break through the news cycle that a senator spoke for, I think it was 22 hours. So it's good that somebody noticed. That was exactly what my point was, too, when we talked about it last week on the show, is there's so much that Democrats are doing that just don't break through the news cycle. And it's up to us. It's people like you and me, but also people on social media or with their friends and family to amplify those moments when they happen. And it was really inspiring by Senator Jeff Merkley, whose last name sounds in no way similar to Markey. So, but anyway, similar. I forgive you. I do apologize. Thank you. I wasn't fishing for that, but I did need a little forgiveness, but mostly to Senator Merkley, who I think as we speak is being interviewed by Jess right now in DC. So, you can go to her Substack to hear that interview. Anyway, Maya, it has been a minute. You joined us on the How We Win podcast a few years ago. I've been a fan of yours. It has been. I know. It feels because, you were in LA and I haven't seen you in a few years. So not a lot's happened since then. How are you doing? Chill. Yeah, everything's exactly the same. And we're moving in the right positive direction, I think is. That's what I felt too. Yeah. No, seriously though, wellness check. How are you? How is your life? How are you navigating this moment that we're in? Well, we're a year almost exactly from the worst night that many of us have experienced in a long time, those of us who work in this space. And my immediate reaction after the election was, wow, okay, we're all going to have to put our oxygen mask on first and develop a self-care plan, a community care plan to be able to get through the next 4 years. And so I posted about that. I think it was within 2 days of the election, not realizing that
flash forward to now that I'd be the one flipping through my own Instagram trying to get cheered up by myself going, I know I had plans. I had plans and wellness plans. Go outside, talk to friends, journal, meditate, do all of the things that you
What was that good advice that I give everybody that I can't seem to apply to my own my own damn self? Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel that.
It's a lot. Things are as bad and worse than I thought they would be. And I think I thought there was going to be a lot more pushback. And so I like to pace myself with my positivity. And so that means acknowledging the very real terror that we're all in, but then also doing all of the things. And it's a formula for me, staying positive and being able to think creatively and being productive. Is a formula. And so I just look at my list and I go, well, did you hydrate? Did you go to the gym? Did you punch something? Did you meditate? Well, do you feel bad? Well, that's why you feel bad. So get to it. Do the list. But sometimes it's very hard. So that's the wellness check. I was with goats this weekend. So that's my big thing is
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Goat yoga
Yes.
or just goats in general?
So it was at a yoga studio retreat type place, but the goats were just there hanging out. They'd just been born. They weren't yet yoga ready. And I famously
Takes a lot of training to get a goat yoga ready.
I like, do these goats even know that this is what they're being required to do? Like, I'm very confused about how, like, they like to jump and things like that. I haven't actually seen goat yoga, but I did see goats and I held baby goats, and for a brief moment, all was well. And I was like, this is exactly the reset, not just me, but everyone needs baby goats in their lives now.
Okay. Well, if you can do that, do it. We adopted a puppy, and I'll tell you that actually has been great. I don't recommend that everyone go out. Well, maybe if you can adopt a puppy, sure, but it definitely puts you in the moment because Piper doesn't know what's going on. She just wants attention right now, and she wants to cuddle. So,
what kind of puppy?
A golden retriever puppy from a golden retriever rescue. She was in like a backyard breeder kind of hoarder situation. And, she's a sweetie and is behind me right now being a very good girl, not making noise during the podcast.
It doesn't appear at all that you have a puppy right now. So that's impressive.
Yeah. But I love your analogy of putting the oxygen mask on first, actually. And that's kind of the gist of what Jess and I do on this show is talk about like, the practice of activism, sort of like the practice of goat yoga, like making it a practice in your life and whatever that means for you, whatever your bandwidth is to just make it part of your life. And then, the practical aspects of it, like where's our role in things. And that means taking care of ourselves, and making sure that we're not burning out. 'Cause a lot of us have done that. I'm curious before we get into the, what's going on in the news and stuff too. You've been working with Lincoln Project for a while now. And, for those who don't know what Lincoln Project is, it was founded by former Republicans in opposition to Trump's first term. And so I think more than a lot of people, you probably have a pretty good bead on where the Republican coalition is right now. From what I can see, it's actually fractured in a way that I haven't seen before with the, Epstein stuff and the attack on free speech and even immigration, which was, in Project 2025, but not to the extent that, masked men disappearing people off the streets were. You're seeing a lot of the, manosphere podcasters and stuff like Joe Rogan saying, wait, I thought they were coming after criminals. They're coming after the guy at my car wash and my neighbors, So that's what it looks like to me. But, I've never seen Trump really lose grip on his MAGA base the way I see it happening. What's your take on that? Am I wrong? Or are you seeing something different?
So I think it's hard to see anything right now because a lot of what people refer to are the comments that they're seeing on posts or that they're seeing on Twitter X, and that's really not reality. And I think we're in a situation where it's almost very difficult to understand what his base is thinking. Like, I look at the polling and it seems like a lot of people are sticking with him. And even in a time when the data clearly shows that the economy is not doing better, and yet we're not really seeing huge defections. We're certainly not seeing that among any elected Republicans, short of maybe Massey and Rand Paul speaking out. And so what this tells me is that we have to start being on the ground more and less online, because unfortunately the algorithms are suppressing the voices who are speaking up and speaking out against what the Trump administration is doing. And it's elevating the voices who are sticking with him. And he's gaining, I think, a lot on the far, far, far super right. And so you're seeing the Nick Fuenteses of the world have their moment, and the Posobiec's of the world have their moment. And so their coalition is, I would say, roughly probably the same size, because it's starting to pick up the dregs of, I guess we can say this now, right? Deplorables. I mean, if you're that far right where what you're defending is blatant racism and blowing up ships of people in the Caribbean, violating international laws, like if you're that far right where you think that that's okay, that's deplorable. And so I think obviously
celebrating Nazis in text threads, literally, like it's okay for them to, celebrate Nazis.
No, exactly. And so I think for independents, but I think anybody who was paying attention already to Project 2025, they'd already left the coalition and are probably just meandering and now wondering how bad it's going to get. But the stock market is still doing okay. And so I think for a lot of people who voted for him for their 401k, those folks are being pretty quiet right now.
That's a good point. Actually, stock market had a record week last week, and which is flummoxing because we want that to happen. But of course, it's a certain person that has stock, and most people don't. Most people are struggling to get by. They're struggling to pay for, everyday items. They were promised that those items would be cheaper on day one if Trump was elected, and they've gotten more expensive, obviously, because of his tariff policies. And now healthcare premiums are about to go through the roof. They already are. People are getting notices that their healthcare premiums are because of the lack of the subsidies that Democrats are fighting for right now. We're about to lose food assistance because of this government shutdown, which, as I'm sure there's actually an emergency, bundle of money, billions of dollars for food assistance in this case, in case there was a government shutdown, that Republicans could give to people who need this food assistance, but they're not, because they feel like it's better politically for them to have people go hungry. This isn't going to play well when so many folks, even in deep red districts, rely on these programs. And polling is showing that, Republicans are getting the blame for the shutdown, as they should. They control the Senate, they control the House of Representatives, they control the White House, and they control SCOTUS. I'll throw that one in there too. Do you think that's moving people at all? Or what are you seeing around the shutdown?
I mean, obviously, people know reality because they know what they can afford to buy and what they can't afford to buy. And so I think that will matter. However, what this government regime, I'm calling them, what they want to do is break people. They know that the people that could potentially vote against them, if they are so broke that they can barely feed their families, afford their medical bills, now that that medical debt is going to be back on their credit, they know those people are going to be less likely to come out and vote against them. They might sit at home. And we've got to remember, as chaotic as they may seem, the GOP is working from all angles right now. And so they are actively working to suppress the vote. And so they have time to do that. And they're actively doing that so that by the time the midterms roll around, they're hoping that they'll have figured out how to suppress it enough. And, elections, the numbers, there's small margins. And so even a little bit of suppression goes a long way. And so I think, I keep going back to when Trump said he's not going to need people to vote anymore, just need you to get out this one last time. And it feels very, precarious right now because the ones that we know who are more likely to vote are the people who are doing okay right now. As far as financially. And so they may be less inclined to try to shift things in a direction where they feel it might destabilize whatever it is that he is doing, even though for the rest of America, for most of America, it's already destabilized. So I don't know if that's a positive answer. I'd love to give like a positive one.
I'm just checking my notes. Maya May, comedian, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let me hold on a second. Let me hydrate. I'm clearly. I misspoke.
Yeah.
What I was actually going to say is that people are going to realize that that the Trump administration only cares about the bottom line. They only care about billionaires, and they're going to realize that. And there's going to be class consciousness, and everyone's going to come together through mutual aid networks and vote all of the Republicans out. And they're going to vote in progressive candidates who actually want to represent the needs of the people. That's what I meant to say.
Well, I actually think both are true. I see what you're doing there, and I appreciate you for it. But I actually do think both are true, and also an excellent segue. Clearly, you have 3 shows, so you know how to, segue to the elections that are coming up. Like we have days until November 4th, and here in California, of course, we've been talking a lot about Prop 50 on the show. We have a very important election in Virginia, which also will affect redistricting and the midterms, because the Democrats in Virginia have said that if they get the majority there, they will draw new lines. They will do another, mid-decade redistricting to get Democrats another couple of seats to counteract what's happening in Missouri and other states as well, red states. You've got a Pennsylvania Supreme Court seat that a lot of people don't know about. They're trying to, which is usually just a pretty automatic process to retain judges that are on there. They're fighting to get rid of 3 more progressive judges off the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania. That's incredibly important because Pennsylvania is a pretty important state electorally. And of course, the New Jersey governor race, a lot of big races. All of the races we've seen so far this year, the aggregate is around an 18% point overperformance for Democrats. So I do think, honestly, both of what you said is true. I think that the diehard Republicans who are seeing the economy doing, or at least the stock market doing okay, and can afford higher prices, maybe don't want to rock the boat. If they voted for Trump, they're maybe okay with what's going on, sadly. But I do think that most people are seeing that this isn't even about left-right politics. This is a top-bottom issue, and these enormous tax breaks to the wealthiest people at the expense of our health care. That's going to make the difference. The midterms are going to be about health care. So, I'm excited in seeing the volunteer enthusiasm on the ground. I know that I remember. God, I don't even remember what election it was, but last time we talked, we were even talking about meeting up and doing some canvassing together in LA. How are you looking at these races that are coming up?
Yeah, I think one about the 18-point shift is it is heartening because I think it shows that people who maybe, and I don't know who sat out and who sat home, or who wasn't as engaged as they needed to be.
There's a lot of drop-off Dems, yeah.
Yeah, because they thought they didn't need to be. I hope that that is a sign, that number is a sign that they're realizing, oops, elections have consequences, and are more engaged. I worry about election fatigue, because every election is the most important election of our lifetime, but that's because it is, to me.
Yeah.
Deciding who is going to make the laws that govern our lives means we should always vote, and we should always be engaged at the local level and at the national level. And so I don't see as much as I would like to see. People, and I've had conversations with people who are organizing phone banks and things like that, and they're not seeing as much enthusiasm as they would like to see. Obviously, I'm Prop 50 because I was California based. I hear the most about that, and I feel pretty positive. But I guess, when we see Mike Johnson not wanting to swear in somebody who's newly elected, it's just a reminder that even it can't stop with just these elections. Like, yes, like this is, because I think sometimes we seem to think we get them in there and then that's the work. And it's like, no, that's just part of the work. And so, we have a chance to give people a boost this next week and get some of these people in. But then that's when I would say that the work is really going to start, because if these go our way, which I think they will, I hope they will. I never like to predict anything, but
Right.
we know that right now, with every win, like No Kings was a win, they come back with, I don't know if you swear on here, so I will just say they come back with some BS to destabilize our coalition. And that's something that that we have to be more prepared for. We should stop being surprised when they do crazy things.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead and swear for you. They knocked down the fucking East Wing right after 7 million people got out into the streets. So, talk about wiping all of what we did out of the news cycle. They're really, really, really good at that. But we, again, have a job to do to make sure that we don't wipe that out of the news cycle. And we understand, the impact of 7 million people out on the streets. And there was actually, I saw some stuff that came out recently that it may be much more than that too. But I want to verify that. Yeah, you saw what I'm talking about. It was some survey, but I'm not sure how they surveyed folks, but they said like 8% of people came out. But in any event, I appreciate you saying that about the enthusiasm. It's why we're here right now talking to our listeners and making sure that you get involved in these races right now. GOTV, if you don't know, it's not about a TV show. It's get out the vote. And this is the final opportunity we have this weekend and coming into Tuesday. And here in California, like you said, it's all about Prop 50, will be really important. There's states, not just Virginia, but some other Democratic states who are watching what's happening here. And if Prop 50 gets passed, then they will be responding in kind too. So that's really good. I'll say, you talked about the enthusiasm we need to overcome, what Trump's going to throw at this, which is everything. He's already said that he's going to send, federal election observers to monitor polling places and stuff on election day. And, I think we can all expect, an ICE presence around polling locations and at the very least, stuff like that. All of it means we need you to volunteer and talk to your friends and your neighbors and your family and make this a blowout. Like, we need to make sure that we not just hold that 18 point overperformance, but that we blow that out of the water. That's the biggest way that we have to, make it impossible for them to, dispute the results of the election, which they certainly will try to do. So, So we've got Prop 50 link in our show notes for people to volunteer on that, as always. There's a great link to send DMs about elections all over the country and do some relational organizing around that. We've got that in our show notes too. And our third call to action, which is a throwback to way back to 20 minutes ago when we were talking about the government shutdown, to call your reps and tell them to hold the line. Tell them that we've got their backs, because, the blame for the shutdown is firmly in the Republicans' camp, as it should be. The Trump shitdown, as we like to call it. And we need them to hold the line. They're getting a lot of pressure from a lot of places right now. And we need to make sure we fight for these healthcare and SNAP benefits to continue. So, those are your marching orders. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I add one? I want to add a marching order.
Do it.
I just want to say, because the holiday season is challenging for a lot of people, and it's coming up. And so with the added stress of SNAP benefits being threatened and likely taken away, please find a neighbor, have potlucks, figure out ways to use this if you have the means. Figure out ways to use this to bring yourself closer to the people in your life. I have lived in many places, and I have to say, it is so sad to me that people do not know their neighbors or don't spend time with their neighbors. And a lot of it is because everybody's busy and exhausted, but now is a really good time to reacquaint yourself with the people next door and say, hey, let's break bread together, because community building is that's the thing, that's the glue that holds democracy together and reminds us that we need each other and we can rely on each other. And we need a lot more of that going on right now. So that's my ask, please.
Thank you so much for that. I love that. And you're right. Community is everything. And it's, we've lost so much of it. We're so isolated from each other now. And, we have to come together. And I was talking to Robert Hubble earlier today, talking about the importance of getting involved locally, no matter what it is, if it's planting trees or beautification projects and stuff like that, but just being in community together. So thank you for that. We're going to finish up with our reasons for hope. And I will start. Because here in California, I have a lot of hope around Prop 50 and getting that passed, actually. I always like to look at these elections, and especially Virginia, as a bellwether for where we're going to be in the midterms. And right now, I thought that the returns would be incredibly low here for a special election without a whole lot of runway. I expected pretty much not a lot of voters. We're really bad at voting in general. But the returns have been very high. They've been favoring Democrats. If you're knocking on doors or talking to voters, like many of our listeners are, then you know that people that we talk to really are in favor of this, but they just don't know about it. So like the work we're doing, phone banking and knocking on doors, is really satisfying because, literally I was knocked on someone's door, 5 Democrats in there, all upset about what was happening, all upset with Trump, wondering how can we fight back? What can we do? And I said, well, I hope you vote yes on Prop 50. And they're like, well, what's Prop 50? Oh yeah, I saw we have something in the mail here. Like they just don't know about it. So, it gives me a lot of hope that we're going to get that passed and that we're going to fight back, all over the country too. So that's my reason for hope this week, but I hope that all of our listeners make that happen, and lead us to celebrating next week. What is your reason for hope right now, Maya?
My reason for hope is that I have a daughter who is in her first year in college in New York City, and she is trans, part of the LGBTQ community, and is still feeling hopeful about the fact that there are a diverse group of young people, particularly in New York, who are going to get to vote for Mamdani. She cannot because she's not yet 18, but seeing young people not be dissuaded because they're so used to crisis is actually something that gives me hope. They just aren't flustered in the way that us older folks are, Gen X here. And so seeing people in New York come together for a candidate who is really speaking to progressive values and community values and values that really just strengthen a very diverse community. And I'm a big proponent of, yes, diversity is our strength because of all the problems that we're going to face in the world. Everybody knows that when you're problem solving, having diverse perspectives to figure out how to solve that problem leads to better results. There's plenty of studies on that. Companies have figured that out.
Oh, yeah.
And so it seems to be only Republicans who seem to think that it is a weakness. And so what gives me hope is that we're about to see one of the most diverse cities in the world come together and elect someone who is really speaking to progressive values. And so there's hope for me that the youth are out there not giving up on us. So that's, yeah.
The children are our future, right? Still.
It's still hope.
Yeah, I love that. And congratulations to your daughter. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Maya, thank you so much. I'm sorry it's been so long. I'm such a fan of yours. Can you let people know the best way to find you?
Yeah, of course. I am Maya on stage on every single platform because, as you mentioned previously, I am a comedian. I used to be a comedian. I'm taking a break now from stand-up so that we can try to save democracy. I'm very much like, you don't deserve jokes right now, people. You need to sit in the corner and think about what you did. No comedy shows for you. Just kidding. But yes,
sad.
Maya on stage, all platforms, and you can still go to comedy shows and perhaps I'll write a joke or two as long as these elections go our way. I'll see about getting on stage again. So thanks, Steve, for having me because this has been fun and I can't believe it's been almost 3 years. But yes, because I think it was before the midterms, so 2022. So yeah,
Man. All right. Well, feels like yesterday, and so thanks again for being here. And thank all of you for joining us. Don't forget that all of the links to the actions that we talked about are in our show notes. So don't just listen. Make sure you click those links and take action. Please do subscribe, rate, and review our show on Apple, YouTube, wherever you find it. And share the show with your friends and family as well. Make sure they are getting into action and helping us win. If you are able to support our show on Substack, we would be grateful for that. And you'll get the coveted ad-free version of our show there. We will be back next week with more Practivist Pod. So until then, remember, hope is in action.